right, so have you ever sat down to play a game with a family and someone breaks out this box and you're thinking really? A game about tooting.
Right. You think it's going to be just silly kid stuff?
Yeah, like whoopee cushion humor.
Exactly. But then you start playing and
you get sucked in.
Oh, yeah. You get totally sucked in. It's
way more fun than you'd expect.
Way more fun. There's strategy.
It's actually kind of brilliant.
Right. It's like Clue had a baby with a whoopee cushion and then gave it a sound effects upgrade.
Okay. That's an image.
But seriously, 10 distinct toot sounds. 10. Who knew there were that many variations on...
Okay, we get it. 10 toots. It's impressive.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work?
All right, so you've got these controllers, right? And everyone gets one.
Hidden away, of course.
Of course. Got to be sneaky. You're waiting for your moment to unleash a toot.
And then there are those tooting tips the game gives you.
Yeah.
Talk about adding insult to injury or...
Insult to,
Exactly. Like, don't make eye contact with the person you think dealt it. Genius.
It's psychological warfare disguised as family fun. And those fake noses they give you to point.
Don't even get me started on the noses. It's like they took everything we're not supposed to do in polite company and said, go wild.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so funny. You're breaking social norms left and right.
But it's not just the rule breaking. It's the fact that everyone from toddlers to grandparents can't help but crack up at a well-timed brap.
It's true. It's like this universal language of laughter. And some theorists actually believe that humor, particularly surrounding bodily functions.
Okay, wait, you're saying there's a science to why we find toots funny?
Oh, absolutely. There are theories. One idea is that it's about the unexpected breaking of social norms. Like, we're taught these things are private.
Right.
And to suddenly put them front and center in such a ridiculous way, it's inherently funny.
So Who Tooted is basically a social experiment disguised as a game.
It is. In a way, right. It makes you question those norms. But it's also tapping into something deeper, I think.
Like what? Well, think about it. Laughter is this primal instinct. We all do it.
Right. I mean, I'm laughing right now.
And there are theories that suggest it goes back to our ancestors, a way to signal to each other that a perceived threat was actually harmless.
So like a caveman trips over a rock, makes a fart noise, and everyone laughs instead of freaking out.
Exactly. It's a way of diffusing tension, building social bonds through shared amusement.
And let's not forget those endorphins. Laughter is good for the soul, or...
for the body and mind.
There you go. So not only is this game hilarious, it's basically a group therapy session in a box.
Well, maybe not a therapy session. There's definitely something therapeutic about shared laughter, right? It connects us. It reminds us that it's okay to be silly.
And Who Tooted gives you full permission to embrace the silly.
Oh, absolutely. It's pure, unadulterated fun. And that's refreshing, in a world that often feels so serious.
It's like a big old fart noise in the face of seriousness.
Exactly. And it works. It allows us to let go, to laugh at ourselves and each other without judgment.
But you know what else is cool about the game? It's not just about the toots. It's actually a pretty clever strategy game, too.
Oh, absolutely. There's bluffing. There's deduction. You've got to try and outsmart your opponents.
It's like poker, but with sound effects.
Right. Do you play it safe blend in? Or do you go for the big risky toot and hope no one suspects you?
And those tooting tips they give you only add to the strategy.
Oh, yeah, those tips are gold. Don't point your nose at yourself. Come on, that's genius.
It's like they sat down and said, how can we make this game even funnier, even more ridiculous?
And they succeeded. They really did. Because in the end, those moments of trying not to laugh, the anticipation, the sudden burst of a perfectly timed squelch, that's where the magic happens.
It's those moments, right? When you lock eyes with someone across the table and you both know what just happened.
And you're both trying so hard not to lose it.
Exactly. You're holding your breath. Your face is turning red. It's like the game creates this bubble of pure joy and you don't want it to pop.
And when it finally does, it's like a wave of relief and laughter all at once.
And those reviews we talked about, people saying they cried from laughing so hard, that's how you know this game is onto something special.
It's true. It takes something so simple, so universal.
Tooting.
Well, yeah. But I was going to say those bodily functions we're usually told to keep under wraps.
Right. Polite company and all that.
Exactly. But this game says, forget that. Let's embrace the absurdity of it all. Let's laugh together.
And it works. It's like they found the secret formula for laughter. It's got a little bit of everything, the element of surprise, the social taboo, the sheer ridiculousness of it all.
And the sound effects. Don't forget the sound effects. They could have gone with generic toots, but no, they gave us 10 glorious variations.
Each one a masterpiece in its own right. Okay, we've established that. But seriously, who knew a game about tooting could be so well crafted? It's strategic. It's hilarious.
Kind of genius.
Exactly. It's like they tapped into some primal part of our brains that just can't resist a good fart joke.
Maybe that's the real lesson here. Maybe we all need to embrace the silly a little bit more often.
Right? Life's too short to take everything so seriously. Sometimes you just need a good toot and a hearty laugh.
Could have said it better myself.
So the next time you hear a suspicious noise, don't be so quick to blame the dog. It might just be the start of a rip-roaring good time courtesy of Who Tooted.
And who knows, it might even spark a deeper conversation about the things that bring us together. The power of laughter, the importance of play.
This has been the Deep Dive, leaving you to ponder the mysteries of the universe, or at least the mystery of who dealt it this round.
And now for a non-sponsored, totally fake advertisement from this episode's non-sponsors.
All right, so get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into a topic that's, well, maybe not the most glamorous, but definitely something we've all experienced: gas.
Yeah, it might not be the most appetizing subject, but trust me, the science behind those stomach rumbles is actually pretty interesting. And besides, everybody experiences it.
That's true. Okay, so before we get into solutions, let's break down the problem. What's actually happening in our gut when we experience that oh-so-familiar discomfort?
The source material lays it out pretty clearly. It all comes down to tiny gas bubbles.
Gas bubbles, huh? So we're like talking lava lamps of discomfort.
Aha! That's a pretty vivid image, but you're not far off. Those gas bubbles get trapped in our digestive systems and, well, they like to make their presence known.
Right, and not always in the most subtle way. So how does Gas X actually help with this whole bubble situation?
So Gas X, with its active ingredient simethicone, comes in to save the day.
Okay, simethicone. Sounds like a superhero name. Does it swoop in and vanquish those gas bubbles with some kind of superpower?
Kind of. It's more like imagine a merging. Instead of those bubbles staying separate and causing trouble, simethicone makes it easier for them to combine. That decrease in surface tension allows for them to move along, shall we say, more freely.
So a peaceful resolution in the digestive system. I like it. And Gas X, they really thought of everything because they have like a whole lineup of different products for this.
Oh yeah, they've got options for every level of need. We're talking extra strength soft gels, ultra strength soft gels, even maximum strength.
Wow, it's like they're speaking to different levels of experience.
Exactly. And they also have chewable options, extra strength chewables, and total relief chews.
Okay, so lots of choices depending on your, let's call it your comfort level. But I'm curious, why the different strengths? Is it just about how intense the situation is?
It's a great question. It is partly about the severity, but it also comes down to the fact that everybody's different, right? What gives one person a bit of discomfort might leave someone else reaching for the nearest bathroom.
So finding your own personal Gas X soulmate. It's like a you complete me moment, but for, your stomach.
Exactly. But on a serious note, it makes sense to have a range of strengths available because what works for one person might be overkill for another.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't want to use a sledgehammer when a gentle tap would do, So before we all just go popping the highest strengths just in case, maybe we should explore what causes all this gas in the first place.
Right. Well, aside from the usual suspects like beans and broccoli, you'd be surprised what else can set off those gas bubbles.
Oh, really? Like what? I thought I was pretty well versed in the world of gassy foods.
Well, even some fruits can be sneaky culprits, believe it or not.
Fruits. Now, fruits are betraying us. I thought they were supposed to be on our side.
It's not a personal vendetta, I promise.
Yeah.
But things like apples, pears, peaches, they can all contribute to gas production.
No way. What's going on there?
It all comes down to those sugars. Some fruits contain sugars that are a bit more, shall we say, challenging for our bodies to digest. And that process can lead to, guessed it, more gas.
Fascinating. So it's like our own internal chemistry is just being a bit dramatic.
Exactly. And that's why, that whole idea of trigger foods is so important to pay attention to. What might cause a gas eruption for one person might be perfectly fine for someone else.
Okay, so we're on the case tracking down our personal trigger foods. But besides just avoiding certain foods and, having Gas X on hand, are there other things we can do to keep things moving smoothly, so to speak.
You bet. The GasX website actually had some really simple yet effective solutions. One that caught my eye was exercise.
Exercise. Now we're getting extreme.
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be anything too intense. Even gentle exercise, like a few yoga poses, can be helpful.
Yoga for gas. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Are we talking like some seriously bendy poses that force those bubbles out?
Not quite. But certain yoga poses can actually help massage the digestive system and potentially help things move along.
Okay, so a more internal approach. But now I got to ask, which poses are we talking about?
Well, they specifically mention child's pose, happy baby pose,
Happy baby pose. I like it.
and knee to chest pose. All of these can help relax the abdominal muscles and maybe, just maybe, encourage a little release of trapped gas.
So it's like a gentle nudge in the right direction.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. But before we all turn ourselves into pretzels chasing gas relief, let's talk about these GasX reviews. What are people saying about their experiences with this bubble-busting hero?
Well, it seems GasX has quite the fan club out there. There are tons of testimonials on their site. We've got Lalu raving about how it helps with bloating, Cowboys Fan 2018 praising its quick action,
Cowboys Fan 2018, very specific.
and even Jeff R. chiming in about how it's long-lasting without any weird side effects.
Wow, they've got testimonials for days.
Yeah.
It's like GasX isn't just a quick fix. People are really making it a part of their, shall we say, lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's kind of comforting to know that so many people experience this. It's like gas and bloating, they're not exactly glamorous cocktail party conversation, but they're incredibly common.
It's like a silent, or maybe not so silent, epidemic.
You're right.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? So as we wrap up our deep dive into, well, gas, what's the biggest takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
I think the most important thing to remember is that you don't have to suffer in silence. I mean, sure, it might not be the most glamorous thing to talk about, but like we've been saying, it's so common, right? The good news is there are things you can do to manage it, and understanding how it all works, that's a great first step.
Totally agree. It's like knowledge is power, even when it comes to gas. And hey, if you need a little extra help in those delicate moments, GasX seems to have a pretty solid track record, wouldn't you say?
For sure, and they've got options for every situation. Those soft gels sound perfect for like being discreet, and then the chewables, you can take those anytime, anywhere. It's nice to have choices, right?
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder that everyone's different. So what works for one person might not work for another. So, don't be afraid to experiment a bit until you find what brings you, shall we say, the most relief.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you and taking control. Don't let a little gas cramp your style, right?
Could not have said it better myself. Well, there you have it, folks. We've explored the wild, wacky, and surprisingly fascinating world of gas and bloating. We hope you learned a thing or two, maybe had a little chuckle along the way, and most importantly, realize that you are definitely not alone in all of this. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay comfortable.